Hello, everyone. Wow, thank you, Javiela, Legacy. I am deeply moved, as I have been every hour since I arrived. Simone Leigh, Rashida Bumbre, Tina Campt, Saidia Hartman, my profound gratitude to you. How deeply I feel the resonance of what you have dreamed and brought breath by breath into being, for what your works make it possible to think and to feed my children. I feel the flourishing and renewal of heart across my lines and time. Thank you to everyone who makes this possible. 2 epigraphs. Our children cannot dream unless they live. They cannot live unless they are nourished. And who else will feed them the real food without which their dreams will be no different from ours? Audre Lorde, from Poetry is Not a Luxury. The world has writ the letter now, writ the letter now. 'Twas never wrote before. Lucille Clifton, age 10. I have marked each one of these sections 1 as like a stitch, a repetition. 1, I was making a small amulet of ancestral courage. I made it at the kitchen table beside my children. Glue, my daughter's brown pencil, a safety pin to line this eye with coal, a knife to trace or open for myself the channels between the hands and the rest. I come upon a blessing in the street. It is a sound I come upon that when I come upon it blesses me. Children at play, a clearing of sound within which I always hear the ocean. A repetition making openings in the air. It is in those openings that I find my language and move. Can we play the sound? Thank you. Children at play, a clearing of sound within which I hear the ocean, though maps say that it's miles further. 1, Umnia's letter to me says, over thousands of years, the wind sanded the mountain with its breath, but today the birds still fly the same route around where the mountain stood. I hope the wisdom of the memories you can't remember guide you. I hope you find help whenever you ask. 1, I too am built out of a question about the sky. The lights of the technician's office were dimmed as she slid the wand up inside me after, like a room, the baby emptied me in space. Space is what I thought. And in that room, my heart then had a brazen dream and drew with its brown fingers its own curtains back, so that I could see the courtyard inside it where the peacocks swept the dirt with the dark of their closed tails within which the green burned secretly like a fever. And I saw my 6 words and their ghosts and the mothers nodding from beneath the pepper tree in a well at the center of the yard of my heart. And I held the dead given pail, so lowered it down into my chest, then up, and like that was taught by the elders to lift sorrow out from my sorrow. 1, the spring of 2020, our son has just turned 5 and our daughter will soon be 3. It is a time of anguish. It has been a time of anguish. Because our children are not in school, we choose what we will tell them and how and when. The kids and I spend an afternoon boiling peony petals, then taking turns mashing them in the pilon. We wash the paper and the pigment, and the color goes from a nearly invisible violet to a purple so strong it is like medicine. It grows darker through the night, even in our sleep. They know this now, the more than you can see. Violet inside the petal, purple inside the violet, our togetherness inside the purple, and the dreaming inside of that. 1, Kamau Brathwaite. Let me tell you how one time there was a tree outside of my bedroom window which was trying to make me into a tree. Nikki Giovanni said in Winter Poem, and I stood perfectly still and was a flower. 1, for years I raced from here to there and was not still. I made decisions about my time, I sold my time. So much of my mother's time was taken, as was her mother's and her mother's. So many generations like that. But also, my mother felt compelled to make, not for money. She worked all kinds of jobs for that, but because she had a compass in her that said make. She sometimes filled the trunk of her car with palm husks and brought them home. She'd spend weeks painting a single face on a single husk. What stillness of spirit to watch her work. 1, for reasons I won't begin to get into here, I have spent the past several years wondering what would have happened had my great-grandmother lived, had she not passed when my grandmother was so little, about 4. The oldest of my great-grandmother's 7 living children was 17, and the youngest, the twins, were about 2. I have been thinking so much about that mother tear, and also the refuge of our home now, the wellness of the children. What makes that possible? 1, one mother cannot be enough. I have one mother now, you know, but once there were more. My family, scatterings, Griffin, Georgia, Chicago, Arecibo, Beleza, Adisogdo. When I was a younger person, I knew that sometimes when I needed the others who might have loved me, all I had to do was put my body down in the sand or in the dirt. 1, the eyes. I have only seen it a few times in my life. When my youngest is just born, I sense that she is studying me, trying to see. When she thinks I am not looking, she fixes her eyes on me in such a way, and then when I face her, it changes. I am aware that the doctors say it is too early, but this feeling of her studying grows stronger as she grows. Once, when she is not yet a year, I am changing her quickly, absent-mindedly on the changing table, and for a moment right there, she turns, and there flashes her single eye. For a moment, I think, were you angry that I called you here? Hush. 1, before all that, when I am in labor in the hospital and the first doctor, a white man, has flooded me with Pitocin as punishment, I think, because I say I want to try without Pitocin and no epidural, and he says something sarcastic, and that it has to be quick because there is meconium in the waters, and I say, okay, because I remember the last time and how close it all was, and he says it too rough when he says, pit her. And I am thinking, thank God this is not my first child. I know I can do this. And I'm also thinking about how he's trying to make me think he has the dogs on me. And he goes to lunch, and the next doctor comes in. She is Asian. I do not know from where. She says, I think she says it sternly and maybe a little in disbelief. There is no need for her to be on this much Pitocin. And they bring me down and was a flower. And then the baby, strong as a rose, Then they are wheeling us away. It is all too fast. The hospital is full, and there is a woman giving birth in the hallway. I turn back to see for a moment the haggard placenta in the hands of the nurses. They are taking our elder away. She is substantial and staggering and strange, a cloak, a stingray. I have not thanked her properly and seen her face. That's when it seems she strains to turn her body toward us, and I sense that it is the first time, and the vision burned in my ears like that. Grandmother, following our child out, though you knew the air would kill my elder, but also the baby and baby twin, her mother, her me, her meadow of wild flowers, who when I had no hands, no mind, took care of her and made her live. 1. My child of eyes sometimes runs to me in the morning to lift my shirt just above my belly button to be sure, she says, that I have one. I think of Toni Morrison's pilot, born without a navel. In the story of my mother's line, there were experiences more enormous than I could understand. On the ladder, a broken rung, after a broken rung, after a broken rung. 1. And always there is the memory, always there of my mother sweeping as she wept the street. How spleed she was, my mother, weeping, as everyone came out of their homes to watch, no shield, no weapon but herself. She did not run away, not then, at least, my mother. 1. And though she was the river silt and gold, and though she was the drop of rain, and just a skinny bitty dandelion of a girl, any time they needed someone to carry the pots, to catch the knife, to walk in front, it was her they put. And though she was the shriek, and was the war and not supposed to be the flower, and was their dog and was not free, what wore her head she could not lose, and what opened her free she pressed inside, my tamarind, my mother lean, my yam astride the dark. She wrote her root into the dirt, and though, the green she was a while. Thank you.